Hello, lovelies. I've just been sitting here, kind of talking to God and just getting clarity and information on a couple things. Um, so, as I've been speaking about being intentional, I've been speaking about, my son not being present, just me believing that, everything's going to shift and move because God said it is. Now, what happened? So when me and my son were experiencing homelessness, I was guided by God, okay? And at this time, I was not speaking to family members or even his dad, because people, it was weird. It was weird. There was a lot going on at the time, and I was told by God to kind of separate and remove myself. So, one night, like I said, my son and I, we were sleeping in my car, and then there was times we were also like in hotels, but just at this time, I did not have any funds for a hotel, so we were sleeping in the car. Mind you, I'll let you know what type of car I had. I had a Jeep Renegade, and if you know that a Jeep Renegade is like kind of box shaped, and I had always, kind of wanted but I always taught my son to think I wanted him to kind of think outside of the box, be a free thinker, to not allow people to put you in a box, and to just reach and strive higher. I wanted him to always feel like he can do anything, nothing was impossible for him. And God was pretty much letting me know the current situation that you are in is not feasible to what Mason needs in his life at this time. So God guided me, and mind you, we were on wait lists for a couple shelters, and we just were not able to get into these shelters. And really, I just don't even think that it was God's plan. Because if it was God's will, it would have been availability. So, already I could just tell that the situation was shifting in a different direction. So God guided me, okay? And when God guided me and gave me this information, instruction to do this, I was brought to a scripture where God told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, okay, to take him to Mount Moriah, or I might be pronouncing that wrong, and sacrifice his son. Now, when Moses got up there, okay, to do what he was told to do by God, God told Abraham, never mind, sacrifice this ram that is in over here. I've provided the sacrifice. Don't sacrifice Isaac. And so I thought it was going to be something like that because God brought that scripture up to me. But because of my story and just what I've went through in my life growing up, God was when I was instructed to take my son to this women's and children's shelter, it was a faith-based women's and children's shelter, and it was like 10:30 at night. My son was feeling uncomfortable. He wanted to He was really saying, like, I don't want to sleep in the car anymore. Like, I don't want to, I want to do this, and, I want to take a shower, you know? And I was just like, okay, obviously you're letting me know, like, what you want. And God was telling me, like, you can't provide what he needs, okay, at this time. So I took my son to this women's and children's shelter. Mind you, like, I had checked out this place, it was full. So I did what God told me to do by knocking on the door. And again, see, I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna do this. God just wants to see my faith and that or my obedience to see that I'm going to do this thing, and he was gonna provide an out just as he did for Abraham. But that wasn't the case. So God guided me to the exact building to go to, which had the number 7 on it. And I knocked on the door. Well, I told Mason, my son, to knock on the door, and he did. So I got into my vehicle and left. Okay. I told my son, though, before I left him that, I'll be back in 7 days. I just need to... Wow, thanks, God. I just need to figure something out. And at this time, I'm thinking, like, okay, I'm going to sell my car and maybe I can get like an RV or something like that. Like, that's what I was thinking. I need something different, like a new experience and something feasible for him. Okay. And God is bringing up to me the number 7 and just how I went to the building number 7, and I told him, I'll be back in 7 days.